Have you ever felt like you are working harder than everyone around you, yet somehow still falling behind? You show up earlier, stay later, sacrifice your energy and your time, but the results never seem to match the effort. You watch others succeed with what looks like half your struggle, and you begin to wonder why hard work alone doesn't seem to be enough. This story explores that question and reveals why effort without strategy often leads to exhaustion instead of success. In a quiet farming valley where families had worked the land for generations, there lived a 32-year-old farmer named Thomas. He owned a modest 10-acre farm inherited from his father, and he believed deeply in one principle above all others: hard work. Every morning, long before sunrise, Thomas woke up and went straight to the fields. He refused to spend money on modern tools, convinced that honest success could only come from physical labor, just as his ancestors had done. Thomas planted every seed by hand, carried water in buckets to every row, and pulled every weed himself. From sunrise to sunset, he worked relentlessly. His hands were rough and bleeding, his back ached constantly, and by nightfall he was too exhausted to eat properly or spend time with his wife, Sarah. Although Sarah worried about his health and begged him to slow down, Thomas believed that success required sacrifice and that working harder was always the answer. To his neighbors, Thomas looked admirable, even heroic. They often said that if hard work alone could make someone rich, Thomas would already be a millionaire. Yet the reality was far less inspiring. Despite working twice as many hours as others, his farm produced only enough to survive. Each harvest was a struggle, his yields were average, and every season brought him closer to debt. He had no time, no energy, and no life beyond work. Next to Thomas lived another farmer named Richard. He was the same age, owned the same amount of land, and had even started with less money. Yet Richard worked only 6 hours a day. He used modern irrigation systems, hired help during peak seasons, and spent his evenings reading, resting, and traveling with his family. Somehow, his farm consistently produced twice as much as Thomas's, a fact that quietly tormented Thomas night after night. One summer, a severe drought struck the valley, and water became scarce. Every farmer faced the same challenge: how to keep crops alive with limited resources. Thomas responded by working even harder. He began waking up earlier, carrying dozens of buckets of water from a distant well every day. His body protested, but he pushed himself forward, repeating the belief that hard work never fails. Richard, however, simply adjusted his irrigation system to deliver water more efficiently during cooler hours, reducing waste and evaporation. While Thomas struggled physically, Richard relied on planning and systems to solve the same problem with minimal effort. On the 15th day of this brutal routine, Thomas collapsed in his fields. His vision blurred, his legs gave out, and the bucket slipped from his hands, spilling precious water onto the dry soil. Sarah found him barely conscious among the dying crops, unable to stand. At the hospital, the doctor warned him that his body was shutting down from exhaustion, dehydration, and lack of sleep, and that continuing this way could cost him his life. That night, lying in bed with fluids dripping into his arm, Thomas experienced something unfamiliar: defeat. Not defeat from the drought or bad luck, but from the realization that the belief system guiding his life might be wrong. He whispered to Sarah that he had done everything right and worked harder than anyone, yet he was still failing. Sarah gently suggested that perhaps hard work alone was not the answer. A few days later, once he regained enough strength, Thomas did something his pride had prevented him from doing for years. He visited Richard and asked him directly how he managed to achieve more while working less. Richard listened quietly and then showed him a simple demonstration using 2 axes, one dull and one sharp. He explained that swinging a dull axe for long hours only leads to pain and frustration, while stopping to sharpen the blade allows fewer swings to produce far better results. Richard then walked Thomas through his farm and explained 3 key principles. First, systems matter more than raw effort. Automation and smart tools save time and energy. Second, focus beats hustle. Mastering a few high-value tasks produces better results than spreading effort across many. Third, rest is part of the strategy. A rested mind makes better decisions, spots problems early, and creates solutions, while an exhausted mind simply reacts. Thomas returned home with a new sense of hope. Instead of rushing straight back to work, he sat down with Sarah and began planning. He reduced his working hours, invested time in learning and system building, installed an efficient irrigation system, and narrowed his focus to the crops best suited to his land. He even hired help during peak seasons, realizing that his time and energy were valuable resources. Over the following months, Thomas's life transformed. He had energy again, shared meals with his family, exercised, and made thoughtful decisions about his work. When the next harvest arrived, his farm produced significantly more than ever before, even though he worked fewer hours. The difference was not greater effort, but smarter effort. Thomas's story is not just about farming. It is about anyone who believes that suffering equals success. Hard work is important, but without strategy, focus, and rest, it becomes self-destructive. True progress comes from sharpening the axe, building systems, and using the mind as effectively as the body. The lesson is simple. Exhaustion is not a badge of honor, and working smarter will always outperform working harder. If this video added value to your understanding, I invite you to like it and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with future videos. Your engagement supports the creation of thoughtful, evidence-based content and helps this channel reach more people.